Mantram repetition can be a portable mindfulness tool to help you reach your goals. The purpose of the Mantram repetition program is training the attention. We can't control what life sends us, but we can have a say in how we respond. The secret is in the mind. It is the mind that feels agitated, stressed, pressured, helpless, or anxious, and it is the mind that can learn to stay calm, resourceful, compassionate, and effective. Everything depends on our state of mind, the one thing in life we can do something about. The Mantram repetition program is based on these three assumptions: that we all have a mind, body, and a spirit, and along with the spirit, there are inner spiritual resources. With Mantram, we invite everyone to bring their own beliefs to the program, and we focus on spirituality, which endorses a more personal view or search for the sacred, for meaning and purpose in life. Spiritual resources refer to the highest qualities that every human being is capable of experiencing. And what we mean by that are things like compassion, altruism, joy, hopefulness, healing, peacefulness, kindness, the noble things we experience in our relationships like love and giving, and we all have these types of inner resources. We can be unaware of our inner resources because of the inability to quiet the mind. These are qualities that can better be accessed when the mind is calm. Therefore, training attention, particularly by using a mantra, a spiritual word or phrase, helps to quiet the mind, and by doing so, we are better able to tap into those inner spiritual resources. Training attention can be one of the most challenging things we can do. Parents and teachers have told us to concentrate, but no one has ever taught us how to concentrate. Repeating a mantra silently to ourselves and bringing our thoughts and attentions back to the word or phrase we choose is one method of attention training. We can't successfully repeat a mantra without focusing our attention on it. Once we notice our minds drift away and we bring them back to the mantra, we are increasing our attention and our will. The greater our focus on the words or phrase of the mantra, the slower and more intentional our thinking becomes. So we live in an age, as you know, with information overload. Come back from a few days off and have 100 or hundreds of emails to sort through. We get so many phone calls that we hardly can get through the day where we feel like we're on top of anything. And there's the Teams messages and the view alerts, just many ways to have information. We feel like we have too much to do and too little time which to do it, which leads to a busy mind, being in a hurry, and multitasking. Being stuck in traffic creates stress because it uses time and we have no control to do anything about it. So Mantram is a one-size-fits-all program. It can be used for any of these hassles, past stress, ruminations, worries about the future. This tool can target any of those things. So we have rushing through meals, hurrying while driving. This feeling of time pressure creates a sense of being threatened, being in a rush, and this can trigger the stress response, a constant low-grade anxiety to our daily life. So you have information overload, when you can't process everything. You have the constant interruptions in our daily work that we need to learn how to gracefully handle. The inability to finish one task at a time before the next one comes. And all these things can affect our performance. Mantram can be a great tool for all of these things. So a lot of the time we get caught up in thinking, sometimes even half of the day that we are not focused on what's happening right now. Madeline Gershwin describes the mind as a 24-hour thought factory with no supervisor. So this is a woman, she's got all these thoughts in her head, and this is an example of what goes on daily, all day long. You know, some of these questions are kind of funny. Another way to think of it is we have a committee of voices. We have that are, telling us what to do and critiquing us from moment to moment. You have the voice of judgment, the child who whines to get her own way, the voice of authority telling us to follow the rules, the rule breaker who's rationalizing, and you have anxiety thinking about the future, or we are ruminating about the past. Why did I say that? So how much of the time do we spend right here in the present, creatively interacting with the flow of life, enjoying being alive? And there are many valuable ways to center ourselves and recognize and remember that we are in there. Gives us that mental pause to remember that we have a mind, but we are the consciousness. We are not our thoughts. The true test is the rest of the time how we are living our life, what we are placing our consciousness, our awareness on. And the mantra can help with that. Notice where your mind goes when you're in the shower. Can you spend the whole time looking at your thoughts without getting sucked into them? And mantra repetition is something we can do anywhere, and there is time. For example, we have time when we're waiting in line, or time that we're sitting at a red light. Repeating a mantra helps to quiet the mind, while focusing on a word or phrase allows access to inner resources. It is a mental pause button that can help build new neural pathways for calmness and better choices. We can use the downtimes positively. I am a huge fan of Michael Singer, so I had to put this in there. How to stop bothering yourself. So he talks about 3 ways. And the first way is to replace negative thoughts with positive thoughts or affirmations. Someone's driving 15 miles under the speed limit in front of you. Instead of saying, "For Christ's sake, what's wrong with you? What, can't you see the speed limit?" You can just say, "Well, maybe that's a new driver, nervous about accelerating. Maybe I can just use this time to enjoy the drive and take some breaths and relax. It's such a lovely day. I'm blessed my car is running." My mom was walking home from Walgreens in the heat last weekend, and it was very muggy, and she noticed her brain start complaining, and she changed her talk to, "Wow, isn't this neat? Some people pay big money for a sauna, and I get to experience one for free. I wonder how much sweat I will make." So the second technique, and it's a little bit better, is repeating a mantra, and it gives you something to focus on. That is, of course, the topic of this presentation. And he does say that the best way is just to relax and release. Just relax. You realize you want to be happy and peaceful. You want to keep that energy flowing. The flow of life. We are not our thoughts. We have thoughts. We are not our feelings. We have feelings. We are not our body. We are in there. Just relax into it. We are on this earth for a short time on this planet, in this universe, 13.8 billion years in the making. And this is the tiny piece of life that we get to experience. So we will get there, but we don't become a classical musician overnight. We need to start somewhere, and a good, solid place to start is the mantra. It has been a transformational tool throughout history in every culture and religion. It helps people to practice intentionality and presence, focus attention, slow thinking for mental clarity and increased awareness, interrupt the stressed response, give you time for better responses, produce a mental change, tap into our inner resources, and transform our consciousness. Two other parts of the Mantram program are slowing down and one-pointed attention. And these tools are synergistic. You can't repeat a mantra without slowing down your thinking and being one-pointed, and they all work together. So there are many other descriptors for mantram or ways to talk about it. In some parts of the country, people are not used to talking about it. They find it Eastern and foreign, and they don't want to use that word. So you can think of it as a centering word or centering phrase. Veterans have called it a pause button for the mind. When they were on the verge of becoming angry, repeating a mantra would give them moments of pause before reacting. In a moment of anger or frustration, you can turn to the mantra to interrupt that cascade of reactivity. Somewhat of a cognitive skill, so people may call it a cognitive cue or cue word. Eknes Eshwaran called it a spiritual formula for transformation, meaning that as we repeat the mantra, it actually has an effect upon us, a way to transform what may be negative ruminating thinking into positive or neutral thinking. It could be a click call or text message to God or your inner resources, meaning you can access it quickly. You're not really having a conversation, but you are repeating it in a focused way. It can be a repetition of the holy name, and that's where you get into the spiritual. It's what ancient Christians called it, the Jesus prayer. Rapid focus tool, bringing your mind back as quickly as possible. People have called it a screensaver for the mind. The idea is once you have chosen your mantra and you begin practicing it throughout the day, when you catch yourself ruminating about something you can't do anything about, then we can default and go back to resting in the mantra. People can rest in repeating the mantra. It is a way of slowing down and being one pointed, bringing more attention to one's thoughts. Your ability to concentrate and focus your attention is your most powerful resource as a human. What we focus on grows. And the number one barrier people find in keeping desired behavioral changes is being distracted, sidetracked. Our attention gets hijacked. So Mantram helps us to build or grow our power to focus our attention on what we want. We start by being aware of where we are focusing our mind, and later we can transfer that focus to anything we do. It's like lifting weights and building the ability to concentrate. And then when you have that laser beam focus, you can put it on anything you want. Now, this is different than transcendental meditation, where the idea is to transcend thoughts to help you not think. Awareness there. Whereas with Mantram, we are trying to raise awareness of thoughts and gain control of them. It is not a sitting meditation, although it can absolutely be used that way. It is great for going to bed at night. We are going to train attention on a Mantram as a way to quiet the mind and tap into those inner resources. You want to spend a little time choosing a Mantram with care. You can find a recommended list at the Blue Mountain Center of Meditation.org. And take into account your personal religious interests, your reactions to the words. It's suggested that you choose one from a traditional source, that those words carry a kind of transforming charge, having been repeated by millions of people over the centuries. The meaning can help transform your thinking as it helps to refocus it. Choose a mantra and try it for a few days or a few weeks. When repeating a mantra, it is not necessary to think of the meaning, and sometimes that can be a distraction. By concentrating on the words, they will eventually penetrate into your subconscious and transform your thinking. You may have heard the saying, we are what we think. That's the point of filling your mind with something inspirational, comforting, and positive. We're able to calm ourselves and find a peaceful mental space. So these are some examples of common mantras that have been used in research. Rama, which was Gandhi's mantra, means eternal joy within. For those who speak English, Rama doesn't really mean anything. We don't have a lot of associations with it, and that can be a good thing. My God and my all is the mantra used by St. Francis of Assisi. The word one was used by Dr. Herbert Benson, the cardiologist who coined the term relaxation response. He used it in his early research. Shalom is Hebrew for peace. Om Shanti also means peace. Soham, meaning I am that in Hindu, looking at the higher part of oneself. So it is suggested to select one and practice repeating it. Sometimes people try one for a week and they switch to another one to see if it is easier. Some people will put two together, and that has been a good way if you can't decide between two of them. And so why not any word or phrase? We are what we think. We become what we dwell upon. There's an ancient verse that says, all that we are is a result of what we have thought. So thoughts are powerful, and that is why it is important to choose a mantra carefully. When you have chosen a mantra, you use it by repeating it silently to yourself. When other thoughts go, you passively ignore those thoughts and bring your mind back to the mantra. The idea is to repeat it silently throughout the day and even into the night. You use it when you need to, and even more important, you use it when you don't need it. When you're relaxed, when you're waiting, when you're not in any kind of distress. And then when a situation does arise and you need to interrupt that stress response, your mantra will be that much more accessible to you. It is very simple to choose and repeat a mantra silently. It is easy to say, but it's not necessarily easy to do. Initially, it takes an intention. You have to make a decision that you're going to give this a try. You notice when you're doing it and when you're not. And so the question is, when do I repeat my mantra? Well, there are many good times. Before falling asleep, while walking to an office or to the printer or to your car or to your house, when waiting for an appointment or for water to fill up. When you're waiting for anything, it's a great time to use the mantra to give yourself the experience that you're not wasting time. While you're putting on your seatbelt as a pause time before you take off for the day, it's a way to interrupt disturbing thoughts, clear your head, as a way to transition from one activity to another. Think of activities you do every day. Could be things like brushing teeth, making coffee, signing into your computer. And now there are also times when not to use a mantra. During those times when you're using your mind to think about something, to problem solve, to make a list, when you're planning, in particular when you're using dangerous machinery or cutting with knives, when you're needing to concentrate on the task at hand, those are times when you should not use a mantra. It is important not to use a mantra when your brain is fully engaged in some other activity, while you're doing tasks that demand your attention, while you're reading or concentrating on a subject, while you're listening to someone. Driving is a controversial topic. Eshwaran says not to repeat the mantra, but a lot of veterans have found it very helpful for them to keep them calm in traffic and less reactive. So just use caution. When you're new at trying Mantram, you may want to encourage yourself with little reminders. You can put a sticky note by your alarm clock to remind you to use Mantram repetition before you go to sleep at night and upon awakening. You can leave one on your bathroom mirror, on your kitchen appliances, at the base of your computer at work. Look for activities you do where you can automatically repeat the Mantram. Showering, routine tasks. And for some of us, mentally repeating the mantra is not enough. Writing can help plant the mantra more firmly in our minds. It's harder to be distracted while writing a mantra over and over. It can be used to manage unwanted emotions such as impatience, ruminating or intrusive thoughts, frustration, anger, guilt, greed, resentment, embarrassment, envy, or jealousy, and it can be a great pause when faced with a craving for something you know is not really good for you. Maybe spend 5 minutes writing a mantra, and then you can decide. Use your mantra to focus, quiet oneself, and bring attention to the present moment. After trying it, maybe you want to try writing for 5 minutes a day for a week. You can evaluate, are you feeling more calm and patient? Has anyone else noticed a difference in you? And so there are really 3 phases of practice that have been seen and observed. The first is that of a mind-body conditioning, simply repeating a mantra because you've been asked to do it. And at first it may seem very mechanical, somewhat boring, and you may feel a lot of skepticism about how is this going to make any difference in my life. The mechanical stage is the hardest to overcome because most of us want to see something happen right away, and it may not. You may be repeating this word thinking, this is silly and it's not helping me, I don't get it at all, but it's important you stick with it until you reach the next phase. What often happens, you will have an experience where you will react differently, called the aha moment. Something has changed here, and usually this occurs after a few weeks and you may notice less troubling behaviors. Other people may notice you're calmer, you're different. That's how it happened for me. And eventually, over time, you will repeat the mantra so consistently that it becomes a habit. It becomes natural, just like breathing. We like to think of it as part of your life, something you do naturally without having to think too much about. It reminds us of the highest ideal of human experience. Gandhi once said, one must be completely absorbed in whatever mantra one selects. The mantra becomes one's staff of life and carries one through every ordeal. It was a mantra that gave him peace and inner power to face adversity and the greatest challenges with equanimity. So today, when there are constant interruptions, internal and external distractions, training our ability to focus and concentrate makes us more effective. So here's an example of attention training. You decide to repeat your mantra. Let's say you picked Rama. and you're repeating it, and before you know it, a thought pops into your head. Could be your running to-do list, something that's bothered you about the past, something that comes out of nowhere, a worry. Usually things pop into our heads when we can't do anything about it. So you remember, oops, I stopped repeating my mantra, and you are no longer repeating it. So you can decide, is this something I need to go and do? Or you're going to go back to repeating your mantra. And that is an important choice point. You make a decision to go back to your mantra, and you are training your attention. So now you're focused on the mantra, and later you will be able to give your attention to whatever you decide to focus on. And we build this habit so it is there for us. At first, we use it when we don't need it, when we're waiting in lines, at a stoplight, before we go to bed at night, when we're relaxed. And then it is there when we do need it, to interrupt or redirect our thoughts, to slow reactivity to disturbing events. And like building muscles, repeating it builds strength. So when you're stressed, you have that pause time to gain perspective. It connects you back to the relaxation experiences, and you will better be able to respond skillfully to challenging situations. And there is a significant mind-body connection. When we're stressed, we have that fight, flight, or freeze response. And studies have shown repeating the mantra is the opposite. It is the relaxation response. Physiologically slower heart rate, decreased tension and anger. And that's what mantra repetition can do over time, particularly when repeated when we are not stressed. So every night before we go to sleep, it's great to repeat the mantra. It cements that relaxation state, the mind and body connection. So it also increases skills related to self-control, attention, focus, stress management, impulse control, self-awareness. It improves heart rate variability. You're better at ignoring distractions, delaying gratification, and coping with stress. So occasionally people come back and say, Rachel, my mind was busier than ever. Mantram did not make your mind busier. You just started noticing how busy your mind is. And that is the first step to transformation. Noticing that you have a mind. You are the inner experiencer. You are the awareness, the consciousness. But you want to create a nicer experience for yourself. And so you notice these thoughts. They're not you. They're just thoughts, and you can pick which ones you want to focus on or just let them go. Just little electrical pulses. They're not reality. If you follow these thought buses to nowhere, the petty grudges or worries or whatever, you're keeping those bus routes online. The mantram is a bus to our higher self. And the key is practice. You use it as much as you can so it is there when you need it. You can use it while walking, exercise, waiting, cleaning, household tasks. Before answering the phone or checking your email, you say your mantra or centering prayer to center yourself. These are all times that are good. Sometimes I use it in moments where I could otherwise be bored or frustrated that I'm wasting time, and it changes my thoughts to connecting to the good parts. And so if you experience automatic pilot, compulsive thinking, anxious or overwhelm, hurry, pressure, frustration, Mantram can help you maintain what some people call the 5 C's: calmness, concentration, clarity, control, and compassion. So you can think of your mind like a little puppy dog that gets distracted when it sees a squirrel and runs away. Gently call your mind back to the mantra with compassion and kindness. Don't be harsh or judgmental. Remember that this is a training exercise and you're just beginning. So you pay attention to your thoughts, and you're noticing your thoughts. That's unusual sometimes versus getting lost in them. Noticing that you have thoughts, and you notice when they wander, and you gently bring them back to the mantra and try to slow down the speed of your thinking. And each redirection of attention is building the muscle of the mind, your ability to concentrate first on the mantra, and then outside of that on whatever you want. The benefits are cumulative. So training with the mantram can be like training for a marathon. It takes practice and persistence. You're not just going to go out and run a 26-mile marathon, and we're not going to have perfect focus and patience without practice. If you would like more information, please visit the Blue Mountain Center of Meditation website. Thank you.